The arrival. The Nariini warship emerged silently from the cosmic fold, its obsidian surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Supreme Commander Thale stood on the bridge, her six-fingered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed at the blue-green planet filling the view screen. Earth, a resource-rich world with a species just advanced enough to be useful, yet primitive enough to be easily conquered. Begin preliminary scans, Thale ordered, her voice resonating with the natural authority that had elevated her through the ranks of the Nariini expansion fleet. Standard subjugation protocols. The Nariini had perfected the art of planetary conquest over 7 centuries. Their methodology was systematic and efficient. Identify technologically developing worlds, demonstrate overwhelming force, implement neural compliance technology, and integrate the native species into their labor hierarchy. 17 planetary systems now serve the Nariini Collective, their population's docile workers fueling the Empire's expansion. Scans complete. Supreme Commander reported Strategic Officer Kelvo, his translucent exoskeleton glinting under the bridge's ambient lighting. Their military capabilities are negligible compared to ours. No unified planetary defense system. Fragmented governmental structures. Nuclear capabilities, but no particle weapons. Primitive space technology limited to their immediate orbital vicinity. Thale's lipless mouth curved into what passed for a smile among her species. Perfect. Deploy the Herald drones. Let's introduce ourselves. Within moments, thousands of sleek metallic spheres descended through Earth's atmosphere, positioning themselves above major population centers. Simultaneously, every electronic device on the planet, televisions, phones, computers, radios, began broadcasting the same message in each region's dominant language. People of Earth, we are the Nariini Collective. Your planet is now under our protection and authority. Resistance is unnecessary and will result in biological consequences. Compliance will be rewarded with continued existence. You have 12 Earth hours to disband your military forces and prepare your leaders for integration instructions. In the United Nations emergency session, hastily convened in New York, Dr. Maya Sharma, the Secretary General, addressed the assembled representatives with remarkable composure despite the circumstances. We are facing an unprecedented situation, she stated calmly, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting in capitals worldwide. But panic will not serve us. We need time to assess their capabilities and intentions. General Wei Zong of the Chinese delegation stood. Their technology is clearly superior. Satellite imagery shows their main vessel is approximately 20 kilometers in length. Our military options appear limited. So we surrender, demanded the Russian representative. Dr. Sharma shook her head. We request negotiations. We need to understand what integration means before committing to anything. The Nariini response to Earth's request for clarification was transmitted globally. Integration is not negotiable. Neural compliance technology will be deployed in 24 hours. Prepare your population. What the Nariini failed to grasp was humanity's long history of imagining and preparing for this very scenario. From Wells to Roddenberry, humans have been contemplating alien contact, both peaceful and hostile, for generations. When faced with actual invasion, humanity's response wasn't just terror. It was also curiosity, analysis, and rapidly forming resistance. In a subterranean laboratory beneath MIT, Dr. Elijah Washington worked feverishly, analyzing the electromagnetic signatures emitted by the Herald drones. There's a pattern here, he muttered to his colleague, Dr. Sofia Rodriguez. Their communication technology operates on principles similar to our quantum computing theories, but they're using a bandwidth we've never explored. Can we disrupt it? Sophia asked, her fingers flying across her keyboard as she compiled data from researchers worldwide who were sharing information despite governmental restrictions. Better, Elijah replied, his eyes never leaving his screen. I think we can hijack it. Meanwhile, in Moscow's military command center, Colonel Anastasia Petrova had noticed something odd about the Nariini vessels. Their defensive systems only activate when directly threatened, she observed. They're conserving energy, which means they have limitations. Similar observations and discoveries were occurring globally as humans did what they do best in crisis: innovate, collaborate, and defy expectations. The neural compliance deployment began precisely on schedule. The Herald drones emitted a synchronized pulse designed to render human minds susceptible to Narini commands, a technology that had subdued 17 other species without fail. It failed on Earth. Commander Thale watched in disbelief as her officers reported the results. "Impossible," she hissed. "Verify your readings." "Verified, Supreme Commander," Kelvo responded, confusion evident in his voice. The compliance wave had minimal effect. Less than 8% of the population shows signs of neural alteration. How? Their brain chemistry was analyzed thoroughly. The answer would have surprised Thale. Human neurological diversity, from autism to ADHD to the vast spectrum of neural variations considered normal within the species, created an unexpected resistance to standardized neural manipulation. What the Narini saw as a single species was actually a neurological mosaic. But the humans weren't just resistant. They were learning. The compliance wave provided Earth's scientists with invaluable data about Narini technology. Within hours, protective countermeasures were being distributed through emergency broadcasts. Specific sound frequencies that disrupted the alien signals, makeshift electromagnetic shields constructed from household items. Thale, faced with this unprecedented failure, escalated to conventional warfare. Deploy ground forces to key governmental centers. We will establish control through physical presence. The Narini combat units that descended upon Washington, Beijing, Moscow, and other capitals were formidable. 3-meter-tall exoskeletal warriors armed with energy weapons and protected by force fields. Yet they encountered resistance unlike anything in Narini conquest records. Humans didn't fight like a primitive species should. They didn't mass in predictable formations or follow expected military protocols. Instead, they employed guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare, and rapidly adapted their strategies when one approach failed. More concerning to the Narini commanders was how quickly humans analyzed and exploited weaknesses in alien technology. In Washington, D.C., a Marine Corps sergeant discovered that common water disrupted Narini force fields. Something about Earth's specific mineral composition created an unexpected reaction. Within hours, this knowledge had spread globally, and Narini ground forces found themselves assaulted with everything from fire hoses to water balloons. In Tokyo, a teenage hacker collective managed to intercept and decode Narini tactical communications, giving resistance fighters advance warning of alien movements. In Kenya, environmental scientists noticed that Narini soldiers struggled with Earth's bacterial environment, their immune systems unprepared for terrestrial microbes. Each small discovery led to another and another, a cascade of adaptations and counter-strategies that left the invaders increasingly vulnerable. 7 days into the invasion, Supreme Commander Thale faced an unthinkable situation: defeat. Half her ground forces had been neutralized, the compliance technology was useless, and human scientists were making alarming progress in understanding Narini systems. "We must implement the cleansing protocol," suggested her second-in-command. "Sterilize their major population centers and start again with the survivors." Thale considered this. Planetary cleansing was an extreme measure, reserved for species too troublesome to integrate yet too valuable to abandon. Before she could issue the order, however, ship alarms blared. "Multiple breaches detected in our security systems," reported a frantic officer. "They're in our network." Impossible, thought Thale. Their technology is too primitive. Yet the evidence was undeniable. Human hackers had penetrated Narini systems, exploiting vulnerabilities the aliens didn't know existed. As Thale watched in horror, ship systems began failing. Life support fluctuated, weapon systems locked down, communications scrambled. On the view screen, a human face appeared, Dr. Maya Sharma, addressing her directly. "Commander Thale," she said calmly, "your invasion has failed. We are prepared to negotiate terms for your peaceful withdrawal, or we will be forced to continue dismantling your systems. The choice is yours." Pride warred with practicality in Thale's mind. The Narini had never retreated, never failed in a conquest. Yet continuing would clearly lead to catastrophic losses. "How?" she finally asked. "How did you resist us?" Dr. Sharma's expression was neither triumphant nor angry, merely resolute. "You mistook technological development for advancement. Humanity's greatest strengths aren't in our machines, but in our diversity, adaptability, and determination. You came to conquer a primitive species, but instead found yourselves facing humanity." As the first day of negotiations began, Thale realized a fundamental truth. The Narini had fatally underestimated Earth, not because they lacked intelligence or data, but because they had failed to understand that advancement isn't linear, and that some of the most dangerous predators are those who have evolved not to dominate through force, but to survive against all odds. The reversal. 3 weeks after the Narini arrival, Earth had transformed. National boundaries and old conflicts faded in importance as humanity united against an existential threat. The initial chaos gave way to organized resistance, with communication networks established outside Narini detection capabilities. Old radio frequencies, postal services, even sophisticated code systems using social media. In Geneva, the newly formed Human Defense Council convened in an underground facility, bringing together military strategists, scientists, diplomats, and even science fiction writers, their lifelong imaginations about alien encounters suddenly valuable expertise. General Asant Okafor of Nigeria, appointed as Global Defense Coordinator, addressed the assembly. "The negotiations are a stalling tactic," she stated bluntly. "Our intelligence indicates the Narini are regrouping, adapting their technology to counter our resistance methods. Then we need to move faster," replied Dr. Elijah Washington. "The team at MIT has reverse-engineered components from a downed Narini shuttle. Their biological systems are integrated with their technology in ways we never imagined. It's both their strength and potentially their greatest vulnerability." Dr. Sofia Rodriguez pulled up holographic schematics captured from Narini databases during the first successful hack. "Their neural technology is designed for control, but we've repurposed it into a communication system. We can now understand their language, access their knowledge repositories, and most importantly, we've identified a critical weakness in their command structure." The Narini operated on absolute hierarchy. Supreme Commander Thale's neural signature synchronized all decision-making throughout their fleet. It was efficient but created a single point of failure that no Narini had ever considered exploitable. No species they'd encountered had ever penetrated their systems deeply enough to discover this vulnerability. "So we target Thale?" asked Maya Sharma. "Not exactly," Sophia explained. "We've developed a signal that mimics her neural pattern but introduces subtle contradictions, essentially creating decision paralysis throughout their network." On the Narini flagship, Supreme Commander Thale was growing increasingly frustrated. The negotiations with humans were clearly delaying tactics, yet her attempts to reestablish military advantage kept encountering unexpected obstacles. Earth's atmosphere was proving corrosive to Narini technology in ways their initial surveys hadn't detected. Their biological weapons had unpredictable effects on humans, whose immune systems displayed remarkable adaptive capabilities. Most concerning was how quickly humans learned. Each Narini tactical adjustment was countered within hours. It defied all conquest protocols. "Their resistance is not sustainable," Thale insisted to her command staff. "No species maintains this level of innovation under pressure. They will fracture eventually." Strategic Officer Kelvo looked uncomfortable. "Supreme Commander, I've been analyzing human historical records. They have a documented pattern of exceptional performance during crisis. Their innovation accelerates under threat, and their social cohesion often strengthens rather than deteriorates." Before Thale could respond, a strange sensation washed over her, a momentary disorientation, as if her thoughts were echoing. Across the bridge, other officers touched their sensory organs in confusion. "Neural network disturbance," reported the communications officer. Source unknown. It was the beginning of humanity's counterattack. The signal developed by Earth scientists was broadcasting from thousands of locations simultaneously, repurposed cell towers, satellite arrays, even modified household electronics. The Narayani neural network, designed for perfect synchronization, began experiencing cascading failures as contradictory command impulses spread throughout their hierarchy. On Earth, resistance forces moved into action. In orbit, astronauts from multiple nations, using spacesuits modified with technology derived from Narayani designs, began attaching disruptive devices to herald drones. In major cities, coordinated electromagnetic pulses, harmless to human technology, but devastating to Narayani systems, disabled ground forces. Most crucially, a specialized team led by Colonel Anastasia Petrova infiltrated a Narayani forward base in the Ural Mountains. Their objective wasn't destruction but acquisition, capturing intact examples of the aliens' most advanced technology. As the Narayani command structure destabilized, their forces experienced something unprecedented: confusion. Without clear hierarchical direction, individual units fell back on basic protocols that proved wholly inadequate against human strategic adaptability. Aboard the flagship, Thale fought to maintain control as systems failed around her. "Purge the neural network," she commanded. "Reset to baseline protocols." "Impossible," Kelvo responded, his voice distorted by neural interference. "The human signal has integrated too deeply. It's rewriting our base code." For the first time in her distinguished career, Supreme Commander Thale felt fear. Not of defeat. The Narayani had contingency protocols for tactical withdrawal, but of something far worse: understanding. The human signal wasn't just disrupting their network. It was establishing communication at a fundamental level, forcing the Narayani to comprehend humanity in ways their conquest protocols had never required. Through this unwanted connection, Thale experienced human emotions, human memories, human perspectives, a chaotic, diverse tapestry of experiences, so unlike the ordered Narayani consciousness. She saw Earth through human eyes, not as a resource to be exploited, but as home, complex, precious, irreplaceable. "They're not just fighting for survival," Thale whispered, insight dawning. "They're fighting for everything they've built, everything they hope to become." The neural interface deepened, and suddenly Thale understood why the compliance technology had failed. Human consciousness wasn't structured like other species the Narayani had encountered. It wasn't hierarchical but networked, each mind unique yet connected through language, culture, shared experience. Their neural diversity wasn't a primitive trait, but an evolutionary advantage, creating a collective intelligence far more adaptable than the Narayani's rigid structures. With this understanding came an inescapable conclusion. The Narayani could not conquer Earth, not because they lacked power, but because their entire conceptual framework for conquest was fundamentally inadequate against humanity's distributed, adaptive resistance. 72 hours after the counterattack began, Supreme Commander Thale requested unconditional parley. Not surrender. The Narayani had no protocols for that concept, but acknowledgement of an unconquerable anomaly that required diplomatic rather than military resolution. In a historic meeting aboard a neutral platform, a hastily retrofitted International Space Station, Thale faced Dr. Maya Sharma and the Human Defense Council. "Your species is," Thale hesitated, the Narayani language lacking appropriate terminology, "exceptional. We have encountered 17 spacefaring civilizations, but none like yours. Our history is defined by overcoming challenges," Sharma responded. "Often challenges we create ourselves. It has made us simultaneously fragile and remarkably resilient." The resulting agreement was unprecedented in Narayani history: full withdrawal from Earth, exchange of specified technologies, and recognition of humanity as a sovereign entity in interstellar relations. Most significantly, Earth would send representatives to the wider galactic community, not as subjects, but as equals, the first species to successfully repel a Nariani conquest. As the Nariani fleet prepared for departure, Thale requested a final conversation with Sharma. "You could have destroyed us once you penetrated our systems," the commander observed. "Why didn't you?" Sharma's answer revealed the final quality the Nariani had failed to anticipate. "Because conquest isn't our objective. Understanding is. Your civilization has existed for millennia longer than our recorded history. We have much to learn from you, and perhaps you from us. Destruction serves neither purpose." 6 months later, Earth launched its first faster-than-light vessel, incorporating principles derived from Nariani technology, but reimagined through human innovation. Its mission wasn't military expansion but diplomatic contact, with the Nariani and the 17 worlds under their control. Aboard that ship, Dr. Elijah Washington and a multinational crew carried a radical proposal: liberation through cooperation. The human neural interface technology that had defeated the Nariani could also free other species from compliance, while offering the Nariani themselves an alternative to their hierarchical existence. As Earth's ambassadors journeyed outward, they carried the lesson humanity had taught the cosmos. True advancement comes not from conquest, but from diversity, adaptability, and the capacity to transform even existential threats into opportunities for growth. The stars had witnessed the beginning of something unprecedented, an interstellar community founded not on dominance, but on the recognition that different forms of intelligence could achieve more together than any could alone. The Nariani had arrived seeking to enslave a primitive species. They departed having encountered humanity, and the universe would never be the same. RetriCloud can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.